Okay, just a quick introduction. I'm Elizabeth Matlock. I'm assistant to the deputy county managers, and I will give Caitlin a chance to introduce herself.
Good evening. I'm Caitlin Hutchison. I'm Assistant Director for the Department of Human Services. I've worked on the Child Care Initiative previously, and I've been working with Elizabeth on the Child Care NOFA.
Okay, and I am going to jump into a short, brief presentation that just kind of gives an overview of the Child Care NOFA, and then we will open it up for questions. Okay, so you're here tonight to learn more about the expansion of affordable quality child care. Notice the funding availability. Welcome. Give you a brief introduction of what this NOFA is. The purpose is to expand access to affordable, quality childcare in center-based childcare programs on a sustainable multi-year basis. So this is really building off of the Child Care Initiative success. Um, and to break down this purpose a little bit, we'll go more into depth on what we mean by affordable, what we mean by quality childcare. And then we really want this funding to go towards something that is sustainable and that can last for multiple years. So it's one-time funding. We realize it's only going to be available this year, but we want this one-time funding to have a multi-year basis. So as you're considering what you might write in a proposal, that's something that we'll be looking for, that this is sustainable beyond just the initial year that you have the funding. The total funding available is $4.5 million in one-time funding from Arlington County government. So it's local government money. Um, it's $4.5 million. A total of $5 million was allocated to support affordable childcare. So there will be in the near future another $500,000 NOFA that will support some other initiatives. But this NOFA is for $4.5 million. There is a minimum ask for your proposal. You have to ask for at least 250,000, but there's no maximum. So the total number of awards and the total amounts of the awards will really depend on what you bring forward and what is awarded based on the best proposals. So breaking down what we mean by affordable and by quality childcare. For affordable, based on the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Virginia Child Care Subsidy Program, affordable childcare, the total cost does not exceed 7% of a family's income. And we really want this funding to go towards affordability that's targeted to families whose income is at or below 50% of the area median income. We are not saying that it has to go to families who are at or below 50% area median income. If you have ideas that target families who are 60% AMI, bring them forward. But because the county does reserve the right to consider those options as well. But this is our target population. And then for quality childcare, we ask that any program being proposed, it must meet applicable state and local licensing requirements. Any programs that receive the state subsidy or are otherwise publicly funded must participate in the Virginia Quality Birth to 5 standards. And any other accreditations, endorsements, or quality standards that you participate in, write about them in your proposal. They can only benefit you and show your experience. For the timeline for this process, we have FAQs. We collected those via email and we'll collect them tonight as well. So answers will be posted shortly after this meeting within a few days. The NOFA proposals are due towards the end of February, February 26th at 5 p.m. The tentative award selection will occur in April. The award announcement will occur in June and July. So in the late spring, we'll tentatively announce the awards. They still have to be approved by the board. And so that spring we'll be working on grant agreements with the tentative awardees. And then the award announcement will be in June or July. The grant periods will vary, usually between 1 to 5 years, depending on what the proposal is. And we'll negotiate those when drafting the grant agreement based on the details of each individual proposal. So how will you be evaluated? The NOFA announcement describes a breakdown where it's 65% based on your approach to providing affordable quality childcare, 20% based on your experience in this area, and 15% based on responsiveness to the NOFA requirements. So under approach, we're looking at what level of affordability are you providing? How many slots are you providing for affordable childcare? What is your commitment to sustainability? How many years are you going to be able to carry on this level of affordability? Is there financial viability? We ask you to describe your financial plan, your sources and uses of funding. So does that make sense? How viable is it? And then your operational feasibility. Are you set up to make this program, this proposal really work operationally? Then under your experience, we ask you to describe and we want to evaluate your experience providing quality childcare. And we also want to look at this through an equity lens. What anti-bias education are you providing? And are you providing culturally responsive childcare to diverse populations? Then for responsiveness, we're looking that you have included all required documentation, and that you have just simply completed the responses to the questions in an adequate manner. For eligible expenses, we have received questions about this already for our FAQs, but the message here is that we are flexible as far as what is an eligible expense. Because it is one-time funding, and we are asking that it's a minimum of $250,000, we're looking at expenses that are capital in nature. But beyond that, we are flexible in what we're considering. The NOFA announcement lists a few suggestions, but we are looking for creative approaches that will achieve the county's goal of sustainable, affordable, quality childcare. So we are trusting that you all are the experts in this field and know what you need most to achieve that sustainable, affordable, quality childcare. And so we're open to any one-time expenses that you may have that can provide that. Okay. So like I said, it was just going to be a brief overview. And now I will stop sharing and we will open it up for questions.
I have a question. Hi. Um, am I able to submit multiple proposals or am I just allowed to submit one?
Caitlin, have we come up with that?
We haven't. I think, we'll think more about that question, but I would guess that what we may end up advising in our FAQs is that, if you are a program that has multiple sites, perhaps you can submit, a proposal for one site and then a proposal for another site, because there could be very different sort of capital needs in different locations, different buildings. But let us, you know, definitively respond to that question in the FAQs, which, as Elizabeth said, we'll post in the coming days. And if you want to expand on that
Thank you.
question, feel free, if there's, a little bit more to it.
Hi, this is Andrea with Northern Virginia Family Service. I have a couple questions. One was about the funding period. So it sounds like that's negotiable, but it could be anywhere from 1 to 5 years that
Correct.
we could use the funding over.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then confirming the funding source is Arlington local dollars, is not federal or pass through.
No.
Right.
Okay.
Local dollars.
How will the funds be dispersed? Is it reimbursable? Is it all like a lump sum or annual? What is um, how will the funding be dispersed? If it's capital, like, do we get like one big check or?
I think that's also negotiable depending on the nature of the expenses that, are being requested for reimbursement. We did say in the proposal that we will not release any funds to assist with like a purchase of a site or buy down of rent until a program actually has that particular property, either they own it or, it's leased. So we won't advance dollars for that purpose.
Okay. Are there any of letters of support required for the grant?
We don't ask for letters of support, but you're welcome to provide them.
Okay.
We do require at least 2 references.
References.
And we
Yeah.
do want to make sure folks know that, having, 15 or 20 letters of support from, current families or partners is fine, but like the more letters you have is not necessarily it's not going to bolster your application. What we're looking for is, quality over quantity.
Okay. Just a couple more. So I assume that you would accept an organization's federally approved indirect rate?
Are you talking about like a Head Start or early Head Start rate?
No, Northern Virginia Family Service has a negotiated indirect rate, a NICRA. It's not with Head Start. Actually, Head Start doesn't accept it. It's
Okay.
I think ours is Health and Human Services um is our agency that we negotiate that rate with every year.
I think that's something that I myself am not entirely familiar with. So I think, again, that's a question that we'll have to double check on, and we'll include the response in our FAQs.
Okay. And last one, if it's for it, one of the examples that you give is rent abatement. So it's not capital. So how do what's your recommendation for describing sources and uses? Like it wouldn't be building like capital if we were asking for rent abatement, how do we describe sources and uses?
I
I
didn't know.
I would think it would be a pretty Caitlin,
Straightforward.
you can correct me, straight line between the sources, this funding,
Yeah.
the use is the rent abatement. And this is what that's going to look like. And this is what impact that will have on affordability.
Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. That's it. I'll stop taking all the time. Thank you.
Mary, do you want to go with your question? Mary Hines, did you have a question?
I do. I'm
Okay,
sorry. I
sorry.
wasn't following the directions. I apologize. So the 7% of family income doesn't apply to families that are very low income. If one is trying to reach down to that population, um, and not have families pay at all, is that allowed?
Yes, so we would use the 7% of household income as a maximum in terms of affordability, but if there is a program that is able to provide, a deeper subsidy for, the very low income households or extremely low income households, we would certainly welcome that, because I do recognize that you're correct, especially even in the Virginia Child Care Subsidy program, some households don't pay up to 7% of their income towards childcare.
Okay. And are you encouraging people to access the state subsidy as part of how we get to affordability as part of the proposal?
So we're encouraging folks to consider the Virginia Child Care Subsidy Program as one avenue for achieving affordability. We didn't want to limit that to be the only avenue for achieving affordability. We wanted to encourage folks to pursue all sorts of creative possibilities that maybe wouldn't otherwise be possible without, a funding notice of funding availability such as this.
Okay, good. Well, I hope people will also look at mixed delivery as a possibility too, because there's money there. Is there any preference for harder to serve people with little kids, with the infants and the toddlers? Is there any, that's a gap we have in our county supply?
We haven't stated a preference explicitly, but I think if for any applicant who is very effective at describing the need that their proposal will meet, I think that will strengthen your proposal.
Okay, that's helpful. And then finally, um, are you looking for 11, 12 hours a day, or are you looking for less in terms of the care that's provided?
I think that that's similar to the age that may be targeted in that we're open to a range of proposals, including not just possibly shorter times, but times that may be outside of the traditional work hours and traditional work days. And so we encourage providers to tell us what they're proposing and why they feel there's a need for that particular, day, time, hours, etc.
Great, thanks very much.
Hi. In regards to the reference information, are you looking for parents, clients, previous, like who are you looking for as references for this?
We're open to who you submit, but we think a diversity of references is helpful. So, but we want the people that you submit to be able to speak to what about your organization specifically makes you likely to be successful. So not just people who will describe, oh yes, there's this great need for this program, but people who are going to be able to speak to your unique capability to bring about what's your proposal.
Thank you.
Christy, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, hi. I had two questions. So first off, is there an age range for this? it talks about like childcare and needing a childcare license, but that goes up to 12 years old. So are we talking about that range? But then you also talked about the birth to 5 years. So what are we looking at?
I think that's similar. The answer is similar to Mary's question about what population we're focusing on, and that we did not stipulate an age range. I think, again, if you can prove that there is a specific need for your program, that will make it a stronger application, more likely to be selected.
Okay. And are programs that are only going to be increasing capacity eligible to apply versus quality of program, which would then free up funding in the future for expansion, like say in the next 3 to 5 years, but the need right now is more for like the quality and sustainability of the program.
So we do, as a result of the proposal, expect that providers will increase affordable slots. So um, that could look a few different ways depending on, where your program is now. If, a program exists and has 80 slots, but is not accepting any subsidy, perhaps, this funding will enable 10 of those slots to accept the state childcare subsidy for, say, 5 years. That's just an example. We're certainly not limiting it to that example, but the proposal does have to show that the funding will in some way increase affordable capacity, and we would expect it to be in the short term rather than long term.
Okay, thank you.
Tony?
Okay, I guess it's my turn. I'm not very familiar with subsidy programs at our daycare. So, is there a way that because I have specific questions, I read through everything that we need to write for the proposal, but can we schedule like an individualized helping session so I can ask specific questions on how to go about? I'm kind of getting an idea from the questions that people asked, but I'm still not quite there yet. I mean, how do I decide how many slots to make subsidy slots? How do we get paid for those slots? And how do I decide how much money I'll need to make those slots affordable or offered to people that need the help? So those are the kind of things that I need help with. And I'm wondering if I can contact someone or if we can meet or something and get some individualized help to write this proposal.
In the Department of Human Services, our Public Assistance Bureau operates the Child Care Subsidy Program, and I do believe we have a number of resources about becoming a subsidy provider. We can certainly identify those resources and share them with you, and then provide a point of contact if there's additional questions after reviewing those resources.
Okay, so I should I just respond to that email and ask for those um, contact people so they can help me?
We'll include the information in the FAQs when we send them out later this week.
Okay. My other question is that you said you don't have a maximum on it, right? So we currently have a building that was set to be a second location, but we're just sitting on it because it's so expensive to start. But when this came up, I thought this would be a right time to actually turn that into another daycare facility. And my question is again, if I want to build brand new from scratch, we already own the building. We just need to build it, and so to come up with all the everything that needs building requirements, daycare requirements, fire, escape, all those kind of things that a daycare needs. And I can pretty much come up with a number for that because I have a preliminary number that I had a contractor write up. But again, I'm not knowing how to propose how many of the slots that will be available will be for subsidy children. And in our current program, do we have to? I guess we have to have subsidy acceptance before we do anything else. Is that correct?
I guess I'm not 100% sure about the answer to your question. The information that we can share, because I mean, we're certainly not the experts in, all the costs that go into operating a child care center, but we can provide information related to like reimbursement rate. There's, maximum, rates based on the age of the child and, where the center is located and things like that for the Virginia subsidy program. So those are things that we can provide to you so that you can use those numbers in your calculations.
Okay, because the goal of the second location, the owner, I'm not the owner, but the goal of the second location for the owner was to open a daycare that was completely for only subsidized for people that need help, basically. Uh, but like again, it was very expensive to do that investment. But now that this came up, this would be the chance to do what she always wanted to do, and is open a daycare that's 100% subsidy acceptance. So I look forward to looking at those resources so I can go ahead and get the information together and just put a plan.
Okay. Jean Miller, you're next.
Yes, thank you. Just quickly, the average median income, what is that number and what is the data source for that so that we would be able to kind of take a look at that?
So that varies depending on the household size. And there is a data source. I mean, the numbers derive from the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development. They're updated annually in the late spring. I can put the link to the chart that details, what the income limits are for different household sizes for Arlington County in the chat, and we'll also include the link um, in our FAQs. It's also in the childcare NOFA itself, in the section of the NOFA document where that's discussed. It should be clickable as well. So I think there's a few different ways folks can access that data. But for now, I'll put it in the chat and we'll have that information in the FAQs as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions?
It's Tony again.
Okay.
I just went to chat and I don't see anything there. But for the frequently asked questions, where do I find that once this is, I guess once this is done, right?
Right. So I'll send an email out to, if you got the first email, like with the announcement, you should get it. But also there is an Arlington, there's a website for this NOFA. And I will post the FAQs there as well.
Okay, thank you.
If you do a Google search for Arlington County Child Care NOFA, it is the first website that pops up. So just in case.
And I see we also have a question in the chat about is there a transcript for the meeting. This recording will also be posted on the website. And so I'm just going to post the link to the website in the chat as well. Okay, last call. Any other questions?
I have one other question. You mentioned something about this is one-time funding, but there's going to be another grant coming out, I think next year for $500 million. Did I hear that number correctly? Or $5 million?
500,000.
500,000. That makes a lot more sense than
Right.
500. And what is that one going to be for?
We do not have all the details ironed out for that one. It is focused. So we just don't have all the details. It's not capital in nature.
The idea is that it'll be smaller scale assistance, whereas this one is intended to be a little larger scale capital, sort of,
Okay.
250,000 plus.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, and we don't have a release date for that either. It could be later this year as well. It's a part of the same total amount of funding that this NOFA is coming from. So we just wanted to get this one started first, and we'll move on to the next one before too long. Okay. If there are no other questions, I want to thank you all for attending tonight, for giving us a bit of your time on a Monday night. As we've said, we'll post FAQs that we received through emails and through tonight's meeting on the website. We'll post the video for the website, video on the website from this meeting. And we look forward to hearing your proposals. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Elizabeth and Caitlin, check your email when you get a chance. It's Cicely.
Yes, I saw your email
Okay.
come through.
Is this program good for a daycare provider also?
Yes, it's open for daycare providers, for profit or nonprofit.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Ma'am, hi. My name is Sahat.
Yes.
I'm just sorry I missed the meeting. I just get home late.
No problem.
Yeah, we do have a preschool in Arlington, and I am assuming, reading the information, this is programs only for the new daycares, right? Or it's
No, it's open to any programs looking to increase affordability, affordable childcare slots. So this could be programs that are already existing, but they don't have any affordable slots, maybe, or maybe they only have a couple, and they want to use this funding to pay for some of their bigger expenses, so that they can change some of their current slots to affordable slots. So it could be that situation for a program that already exists, or it could be a group that's opening a new location and starting a brand new childcare program. So we're really open to both options are good.
And it's limited to those zip codes?
It's limited to Arlington County, so
County, but
not
preferred.
zip code specific. We realize that some zip codes may be in more need of affordable childcare slots, so that's why we listed some. But it's as long as you can show that you're providing affordable childcare, that is a new opportunity for affordable childcare, then that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, my apologies for missing it. Sorry,
Oh no,
I don't want to give more questions until I read the transcript. So after I emailed, I don't want to hold up the meeting. Thank you.
Yes, listening.
Thank you all.